nice place. A nice view. What a nice view. Okay, so let's review this bike. So basically, this bike looks great, at least for me, and I think for the most majority of people, this looks good. Great design, unique design, unlike any other regular bike designs. So looks wise, I think this is a great bike. Great bike, looks wise. 10 out of 10 or 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. Material quality is decent. Switch gear or it's not great quality, but it's decent quality. Core materials are good, but the auxiliary, less important materials like switch gears and this are not that great. And talking about its let's talk about its strength. Okay, every bike has their purpose. They are built for certain purpose, and they have weakness and they have strength, pros and cons. Okay, so let's start with the pros first, because it has more pros. Pros is looks, obviously. Second is bike's performance. Like, let's then go and okay, let's start. So the performance is top notch. Mid RPM to top RPM performance is like rocket. This bike is rocket. Literally gives you goosebumps. It pulls like a rocket. So that is the best quality of this bike. And the second one is the stability. The tuning of suspension is such that it is more tuned to stability rather than comfort. So this is not the most comfortable bike in terms of suspension dampening, but it is one of the most stable bike, particularly at high speeds. Yeah, particularly the high speeds, this is a great suspension tuning. And third one is rugged. Bike is strong. This bike looks really strong, man. You know, you feel like if you drop this bike from some cliff, it'll be okay. Yeah, rugged design, component, structure, engineering. What is the other good part about this bike? It has all the necessary instrument cluster parameters that we need: trips, mileage, fuel consumption, and range for given fuel, and all the things you really require, time as well, right? So yeah, in that case, it is in that department is also good. Another great part of this is obviously dual channel ABS, which is lifesaver. It gives you such a confidence to while riding in high speed. You know that, right? You know that if you don't panic, and then you can brake, you can make it stop And what is the purpose of this bike? The purpose of this bike is built for touring, long distance covering. Okay, this bike is built for touring. It's not an off-road bike. It's a dual purpose bike. It is for the long tour adventure ride, where you face most of the time tarmac and soft off-roads. Okay? This is made for 80% of tarmac and 20% of soft off-roads. It is not off-road bike, so yeah. So this is a touring bike. It's great at touring, absolutely great. The tall gearing makes it much more suitable for touring. You can cruise at 100 km/h on 6th gear in like 5,000 rpm, around 5,000 rpm or 5,500 rpm. That's great. Engine is relaxed while riding in 100 km/h. And yeah, that's why it's a touring machine, because everything is tuned for touring. Okay, now I think that's about it, the core pros of this bike. Now let's start with the cons. Okay, this bike has some problems as well, right? The major problem with this bike is suspension setup. I think it's great that it's tuned for stability, but there has to be some comfort, right? This is really brutally hard suspension, right? Yeah, it gets softer when you put some luggage at the back, relatively softer, but not softer enough, like as you see in the X-Pulse and all that off-road oriented bikes. So yeah, I think it has to be a little bit softer. That would have been great. And it's a very bad for pillion. Pillion is like impossible for them to ride in this bike, particularly in off-roads, long rides, and switch gears could have been better. It's a little bit of low quality. There's a cost cutting, you can see, and gear switching is not that smooth. You expect the bike from KTM to have much smoother gearbox. I mean, gearbox is smoother, but the gear switching is not smooth. You feel like sometimes it's stuck. It makes dung 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 noise while switching from neutral to first or first to second. And tire. Another thing is, problem of this bike is tire. The tire is really not made for off-road, man. If you encounter slippery road, like muddy road, in uphill, this bike will not go away, not climb. It's like impossible. So yeah, that is also a major cons in terms of, particularly in terms of Nepali roads, Nepali terrain. Another one is the sound. Sound is not that great, right? You can hear unnecessary noise from engines, like something like that, which is really annoying. Particularly, you can hear that in Bajaj engines, and that has continued to this bike as well. So that is another annoying part about this bike. Mirrors are not that great. Mirrors also not that great. I think that's about it. I forgot to say one thing in pros of this bike is this seat is quite great. You have to say this part of this bike is really great. I would say one of the best. So flat, so comfortable. It's so easy to put the luggage here, tighten up and ride. So spacious. That is one of the pros of this bike. So now regarding cons, okay, at the end, overall, I'm satisfied with this bike. It's great that I'm lucky that I can ride this bike, this machine. It's a great machine, absolutely great machine. Even if it has cons, the performance of this bike, the spaciousness of the bike, the stability of this bike, the looks, ruggedness of this bike absolutely overshadows, I think, the cons part of this bike. And slowly you start to manage those cons, particularly this not having this low in torque of this bike, which is a really bad thing about this bike. It doesn't climb unless you rev and give some half clutch. Half clutch is not good for clutch plates, right? So yeah, but later you start to manage it very well. You know when to take a half clutch, how much speed you need, to climb the given steepness, and accordingly you adjust, you learn. But in the beginning it is challenging. This bike is heavy also, right? So it's tall, heavy, and has no bottom in torque as well. It's like a dead bike under 4,000 rpm. It's like literally dead. So that is a really concerning part about this bike. It was, at least for me, in the beginning. Now it's not. I know now how to manage those situations where I need low in torques and we are going slow, the steep climb. So I think, yeah, that's conclude. I think this is the review of this bike. Yeah, thank you for watching.